Hello, good afternoon. It is it's the 16th of December, so not too long till the fat man comes down the chimney. And I'm not talking about Tony Morris. Anyway, I'm going through some old videos. Get this a bit closer. That's better, I can see myself now. Hello. So I'm going through some old videos. I've got a load of VHS videos, loads of them, because I had a video camera at quite early doors. In fact, not unlike the one I've got I'm recording at the moment. It was a huge thing. It was like the size of a hairdryer. It was massive, and used to take it especially when we went abroad. Now, let me get this right. In June of 2002, when my son was 3 at this point, we went to an island I've never been to before called Majorca. Went to Majorca, Mallorca, and it was alright. Yeah, we were there 2 weeks, and I hired a car because I normally do that because the thought of staying in a resort, no thank you. So I hired a car. Went out to see many of the places in Majorca, and ended up in Palma, which is the was it La Palma? Any Palma, whatever, which is the capital of Majorca, and went to where the cathedral was, and it was stunning. And right dominating the actual city is a castle called Castell de Bellver, I believe, but it sounds French. Anyway, it's a fabulous castle. We went up there, and you walked along the roof, and below that there was some sort of hidden sections inside that you went in. And lo and behold, when we walked into there, this is way before Carter's, there were a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'd forgotten all about this until I watched this bloody video. And I videoed them for about 5 minutes, and what they were doing is they were trying to demonstrate through lots of pictures and text, and I think I think a lot of them were in English, not just Spanish, and other things, talking about the story about the Jehovah's Witnesses and the concentration camps. Now, I'm not too sure whether they were singling out the Jehovah's Witnesses from that island who went to concentration camps. I don't think that's true. I think it actually meant more general people who went into concentration camps, because obviously Spain in World War II was neutral at the time, so I don't think it would have been Spanish ones. So I think it's generally going, you know, referring to the Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe that went into concentration camps. So at the end of this video, you should see the video I did that day. To be fair, I haven't really watched it. I've noticed that my thoughts on the day was that most of the people that they were presenting, I couldn't hear them because they were speaking in Spanish obviously, were very attractive men and women, very attractive men and women, obviously trying to bring them in, reel them in as it were. And I did video 5 minutes on this, but it's ironic though. What I always thought about the Jehovah's Witnesses and concentration camps, I think it was dealt with I think it might have been the yearbook in 76 or 77, or maybe 78. It's one of those dealt with the whole concentration camp experience. And I remember reading it, and I was profoundly affected by it. I just thought, wow, if there's ever proof that the Jehovah's Witnesses, amongst all the other Christian organisations, that they are God's chosen people, is the fact that he personally tried to, wipe out this brood, I think it was. But ironically, obviously once you come out of it, you see a bigger picture and find out that the Bethel in America were actually sending letters to Mein Führer at the time, so it wasn't all about that. Quite often they were trying to keep on good relations with this particular horrible, nasty person. So it wasn't all about that. But I do remember reading the stories, and I may have gotten this wrong in the midst of time, but I do certainly remember when like the Gestapo were coming in, and the Gestapo officer sitting actually on top of the printing press, which looked like a seat, not realising, or newly printed magazines. He was sitting on them, didn't even know. But there were, and I may have got this wrong, I'm sure there's one instance where the Gestapo or the SS or whoever it was went into a place, and afterwards there was something that happened, and they alerted to the fact that in this room there was a person in there, and then afterwards the witnesses said, oh well, funny if there wasn't a person in this room, it must have been an angel, which is a bit odd, because as we're led to believe that the angels stopped taking physical bodies way back in the first century and never done so since. Yet here was an example of, I'm absolutely sure this, I'm sure this is the case, and I can't be bothered going to read it again, but I'm pretty sure there is an example of somebody under the control of Nazi Germany, the National Socialist Republic, that they did go to a witness's place and saw somebody, and then the witnesses admitted that there wasn't anybody there, and they must have been seeing an angel. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Although I may be making it all up. Or, more importantly, probably they were making it all up. And when you think about it, it was so strong to say, yeah, this is Jehovah, protecting his people. But the irony about this is, and it even applies in the first century. We had these first century apostles. What protection did they get from their God? Absolutely none. They literally were hung out to dry. Literally were hung out to dry. And the same thing that happened to all these wonderful fine examples of, I think another example was a witness was supposed to be brought out to be shot in the head. And when the guy tried to do it, his gun jammed. Clearly Jehovah's protection. Jehovah's angel made sure that that guy's gun jammed the day he was going to shoot this Jehovah's Witness, or the Bible students that were known back then, in the head. Clearly a sign of Jehovah's protection. It's bizarre, but then it's so hit and miss, because then there's examples of people who were actually beheaded in concentration camps for being Jehovah's Witnesses. So how come that when the guy swung, all of a sudden he missed the head completely and accidentally took off his own leg? It's just bizarre. How come Jehovah and the angels can at some point really protect his people, and then can't give an arse? They, oh well, I tell you what, we protected that bloke yesterday. We made sure that the gun jammed when he tried to shoot his head. But see this person here getting their head cut off. Wow, it's just got to take one for the team. It's just bizarre. You get so many instances of the witnesses getting angelic protection, and clearly angelic protection from Jehovah in relation to do this, but then unfortunately finally this person who was like the translator or the person taking magazines of this person finally gets caught, unfortunately, finally goes to the concentration camp, and unfortunately becomes one of the few hundred Bible students who got murdered by the Nazis. What happens? Jehovah won't test you beyond what you can bear. Well, certainly death is the end product of that one. Just very, very odd. And yet, when you read these things about the witnesses, oh, it shows Jehovah protects his people. Well, what about all the people who he didn't protect? What about all the people who did die with a bullet to the head? Who did die of malnutrition? Of all the people who did die who got their head chopped off? Who did die in the gas chambers? What about all these people who did die of some horrible disease in a concentration camp because they weren't getting any food? What about these people who died in a death march? What about all these others? Where was the protection for them then? For his people? How in the first place did Jehovah allow these people to be, to be captured in the first place anyway? No protection at all. It's just bizarre. It's just so hit and miss. It's so utterly random. Yet the few the few coincidences that happen are clearly seen as Jehovah's angelic protection. Yes, he protects the people. When it's a massive coincidence, because there were many other people unrelated to Jehovah's Witnesses who were doing lots of things under the radar at the time, and hit and miss with them. A lot of them survived, a lot of them got captured, a lot of them got executed. Hit and miss. You know, when you look at the you know, the people who were doing underground printing and preaching with the witnesses, and those who were actually trying to rally people locally to distribute the war machine, it's probably about equates to the same about the ones who survived and captured. But we won't say that people going out planting bombs and trains were getting Jehovah's blessing. It's utterly random. And yet the Jehovah's Witnesses, when you read the book, you come back thinking, oh, Jehovah's protects his people. Hold on a second, we just read about a guy who got his head chopped off. What about him? Let's not talk about him. It's really odd. And this is one of the things, of course, that Jehovah's Witnesses, because of the fact that this religious organisation were persecuted by the Nazis and Hitler, shows that really that was Satan trying to destroy them. It's funny, isn't it? Because if that's the case, you know, a few hundred Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe, got put to death. Compared to 6 million Jews. You know, if there's one religious group that they claim for to be the ones that God, the truly God's people, it's got to be those of the Jewish faith, because, you know, proportionally in concentration camps, so many of them got killed. You know, there's whole communities of them that just don't exist. Used to be in towns and cities and villages, the big Jewish community, not one survivor. Not one survivor. But that's the way it gets spun with Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh yes, this proves... No, it doesn't. It actually proves absolutely nothing. But anyway, I just thought I'd give my thoughts on that one. I don't want to rant on too much. And then I'm going to attach this video with the video of that. I may appear on the video, I don't know. You'll certainly hear my voice. And you can watch it yourself. And then you can obviously see what you think. But anyway, they are my thoughts on it. And that's probably the last video I'm probably going to do this side of the fat man coming down the chimney. And that's about it really. Unless something, of course I did this last year, unless something, I might do a season review. In between Christmas and New Year, I may do a season review. Just one other thing to bring out, I recently had to attend my stepmother's funeral in the port, and it was a Catholic funeral, and oh my God, again very impersonal, just like Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all more about the taking of the Holy Communion, where everybody on their dog can come up during the service to take the Holy Communion. It's like they're all hangers on to this, you know, very sad event, and they can all participate. And I was going past them thinking, who are you? Who are you? Don't know you. In fact, I don't know any of you people. I think they were just congregation people. But yet again, a ceremony which should have been a celebration of somebody's life has been absolutely railroaded, just like Jehovah's Witness funerals, by their faith. And we heard more about, you know, Mary. I was going to say Mary and Jesus and the shepherds, but it's a completely different story. But we heard more about Mary and the amount of things, blessing the wine, blessing the bread. It went on, and now we're doing another thing, and that very little, unfortunately, about my stepmother. I learnt a few things for the basics, but I would have liked to have known more. But it was more to do with her faith, going to Lourdes. She went to Lourdes a few times with me dad. Didn't know that. And stuff like that. It was just quite impersonal, just like all the Jehovah's Witness funerals I've been to before. Very impersonal, all about, you know, let's look at what they believed in, instead of let's just talk about them as a person and what they were like. Anyway, I'll leave you with this video, which you should hopefully be about to watch within a couple of seconds of me saying goodbye. And I'm about to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Muy bien, pues bienvenidos a todos a la exposición Memoria de un Testimonio, que presenta el Círculo Europeo de Antiguos Deportados junto con el Ayuntamiento de Palma. Mi nombre es Bárbara y voy a ser su guía en esta gira.
Mom?
Pues esa cantidad de personas muriendo.
There's another one. I suppose the brothers aren't too bad looking at. Oh, what's the witnesses? What's the other?
esta idea plasmada en el libro mexicano luego se vieron reflejadas en leyes como las leyes de Nuremberg, se establece la batalla alemana.